But we can do a lot of this stuff. Nice, slow, easy trot. Your horse is not afraid of anything at the trot. He can trot all day long and not get tired. And you can work a lot on his mind without really getting his body very tired. So we'll go the other way. And we'll bend him. And we'll see if he'll give his face, get soft in his mouth, drop his neck a little bit. Now you're going to say, when I pull on my horse's mouth, he chews on the bit all the time. Chomp, 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 chomp. Sure he will. That's natural. That's normal. That's pressure. He says, what the heck is that thing in my mouth? Okay? But as your horse learns to give, the problem goes away on its own. We don't need to tie his mouth shut. We don't need cavesons. We don't need a bunch of stuff. Just get his mouth soft, get him soft, and get him supple, and all that chewy stuff will kind of vanish on its own. We worry a lot about little things that show up. They're just a symptom of the problem, and when we get to the real root of the problem, those other little symptoms go away. Okay? Now, so far, my horse doesn't look like he's going to buck me off yet, does he? He's getting pretty soft in his mouth. He's getting pretty supple. I can teach him to drop his neck a little bit. And all we're doing is just kind of jogging around here, nice and soft and relaxed. And you notice you really don't have to pull very much on a horse to get him to do this. We're trying to leave those reins as loose as we can, only put pressure on his mouth when we want him to do something. And when he does it, what do? We will release. So I'm going to hold on to him a little bit until I get him to drop his neck this way a little bit. There. Boom. Pitch him loose. Okay. Now, as we teach this horse to steer, we can gradually start doing this. Everything we've done so far is with one rein, and we're out here pretty wide. Kind of pulling his nose around in the beginning to teach him where to go. As we get this more advanced, this horse still bends a little better to the left, doesn't he? This way he starts to get a little frantic, gets a little more nervous, hasn't quite figured out that he can relax doing this to the right yet. There. Dropped his head and said, oh, I get it. Okay, so our hands are still pretty wide at this point. As we get more advanced, you start moving your hands closer together, because our ultimate goal for a Western horse is to be able to neck rein that horse, which means hold the reins in one hand and steer one-handed, and he moves not so much from pressure on the side of his mouth, but more with the reins against his neck. So we're going to keep doing the same thing, except we're going to start moving our hands a little closer. Instead of pulling out here, maybe we'll pull back here toward our pockets a little bit. So instead of being wide, we bring our hand in and we'll put pressure back just toward our pocket. Okay? We can keep that same bend in that horse. We can make an arc in him. We can make him give his face. We can make him drop his neck. We can make him get soft and supple. And all we're doing is just playing with our fingers. You know, we can jog around like this for an hour. Nobody gets very tired. So we just keep working on his mouth, getting him soft. But you see now my hands, instead of being 3 feet apart or a foot apart, and then they start coming to be 6 inches apart. Okay? When I start to get my hands closer together, you know, the cues are a little bit closer to his neck, aren't they? And so the next thing I'm going to do is start adding the neck rein. Now, when he stops and relaxes, let him stand on a loose rein. See him lick his lips? When a horse licks his lips, that means he's contented. He says, I get this lesson. I understand. It's okay. I'm all right with it. I'm not fighting. Okay? So when a horse gets something through his head, you'll see him go with his lips. That's a good sign. Okay? That means that things are starting to sink in a little bit.